Hi, and welcome to It's Not That Bad, optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue.
And today, we're finally getting into Christmas. We will be reviewing bad Christmas movies and trying to be really nice about them.
Oh, it's so exciting. It is going to be a good week. And, you know, as the songs say, joy unto all, and to all a good afternoon.
Is that
I believe that's the song. That's the song.
I mean, you are Jewish, so I feel like maybe you get a bit of leeway with your Christmas quoting.
Good. So when I say, you know, oh holy night, the toys were joyful. That's correct as well. That's the right lyrics for that one.
You know what? I still can't spell Hanukkah. So, in all fairness, I know that nobody really can.
No. I think there's a C somewhere in it, I believe. And I know there are a lot of double letters, so like a lot of double H's and a lot of double A.
K's.
And yeah, there's a K in there somewhere as well. Sort of I think the root word for all sort of Jewish holidays is hummus, and then take that as the root and then change it up from there.
I'm not gonna do that.
This is the religious tolerance podcast that you have known to come and love.
Catholics and Jews explain stuff. Poorly.
That is a much better idea than this.
Especially because, like, I'm a terrible Catholic, and you're
and I'm the worst
Jew.
It'd be amazing.
That's kind of all I want to do now.
Yeah, I think we're going to change up. I mean, if you don't hear from us again, it's because we've changed podcasts. Right, so I think let's tell the people what we're doing this week, since it is Christmas week.
Woo!
Woo woo! So what are you doing?
I will be doing the latest Netflix Christmas classic. Well, it's not the latest. It came out last year. But I will be doing it. It's called A Christmas Prince.
Ah, lovely. And I shall be doing Santa Claus, and as I explained last week, Claus spelt Claws, because the movie is about cats.
It sure is.
But is it? And we will get into
that.
This is
like the
angriest
I've ever felt being made to watch a movie.
Yeah, I am sorry, because, you know, it hasn't actually been that long since you told me that you hate animated animal films. Yeah. And then I go and made you watch an animated animal film.
Animals don't need to talk. If animals need to talk for your movie to be good, it's not a good movie. I'll say it.
And to be fair, this movie was bad regardless of the talking animals.
True.
Well, let's first establish the order of things.
Yes.
So, what are you drinking, Simone?
I am drinking the drink that I have when there is no beer and no open bottle of wine in my home, which is a vodka orange juice.
Ah, so fancy, so millennial, so resourceful.
It's got vitamin C in it because my sister came over on Thursday with hobo flu. She got it off a homeless person. Don't ask. She helped a small homeless child, get back to their parents. She's very kind, and she paid the price.
That is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, bless her.
Yeah.
I also love the dissension of that sentence from, she got hobo flu, don't ask, to, I'm going to explain a little bit, to, I am doing it just to give you the context and the complete story, because I think everyone was wondering.
Yeah, well, I didn't want people thinking that my sister had, maybe had sex with a sick homeless person.
Yeah, especially with your phrasing of your sister got it off of a homeless person. But that's amazing. I mean, snaps for your sister for being, you know, the best human ever.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the spirit of Christmas. That's what they say.
That's
God
true.
bless us every ton.
Are you just gonna misquote Christmas phrases the whole episode?
Yes,
because I love it.
I'm gonna warn you now. that is what I will be doing, because I don't think there are any Jewish Hanukkah phrases except for Hag Sameach, which just means happy holidays. So I mean,
I was gonna go with L'chaim, which is
that's just to life. I mean,
I know. I watched Fiddler on the Roof
once.
My sister was in Fiddler on the Roof.
What? What, the original?
Play. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, that's impossible if she was in the original film. But
Can you imagine?
Like, your sister's, what, 22, 23?
She's 22 now.
But she's eternal and was in Fiddlers.
Just there at the back.
Just like, well, she is an extra for films. There's a great Jewish saying, and it freaks me out every time. But when you go to a funeral for a Jewish person, and you're like sort of the immediate family of said funeraled person, the deceased, you say to said family member, "I wish you long life," which has always confused me because it's sort of like a weird flex.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's a little insensitive.
Yeah.
Right in front of this dead person.
Like, it's really, really weird. Like, when my grandfather passed, you know, my mum phoned me and she was like, I wish you good life. I wish you long life. And I was like, you know what? Like, okay.
It's kind of like if you were, like, visiting me in the hospital because I was, like, super ill and, like, somebody came up to you and was like, oh, I wish you good health, like, right in front of my face.
Exactly, it seems a bit, like, insensitive, like you said. And yeah, just really boastful that you're still alive, like...
I don't want to crap all
let's keep
over
this going.
Traditions, but,
Look, if you can't do it at Christmas, when can you?
It's very true, and we'll get into that in the movies.
Exactly. So, what percentage is your drink?
I don't have the bottle with me, but vodka tends to be about 40%.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I am drinking. I'm sort of following in your footsteps in a strange way. So when I went to visit my friends down in Bournemouth this past week, I bought a bottle of Malibu, but it's not your traditional Malibu now. It's the black currant infused Malibu.
I hate Malibu.
I hate Malibu too on a good day, but this black currant one isn't actually half bad. So what I did was I mixed it with pineapple juice because it's the only sort of mixer we have in the house.
Yeah.
And so I've got a weird Malibu blackcurrant pineapple infusion.
Yeah.
And it's not half bad. It's disgusting, but I wouldn't not drink it. I had it when I visited my friends to buy it. I mixed it with Coke, and that was quite nice. It doesn't sound good, but it works out really nicely. It's sort of like a strange cherry Coke flavour, but with blackcurrant, obviously. And it was, yeah. So I wouldn't say that's bad, but mine is only a 21%er. Oh. So you do win on this occasion.
Wonderful. We can get this movie out the way.
You see, you say that, but your movie is so much more kind to the soul than mine is.
It's a low bar.
It is a low bar this week. So, yeah, I'm excited what you have to say about this film.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's do this. I'm ready for you.
So, A Christmas Prince follows Amber, no last name, played by Rose McIver. Amber is a down-on-her-luck junior editor at a magazine, wishing that she could be a real journalist. Finally, just before Christmas, she gets her lucky break. In the made-up kingdom of Aldovia, the prince needs to ascend to the throne. The prince, played by Ben Lamb, is hard to find, is considered a playboy by the media, so nobody's even sure if he will take his ascension to the throne. And apparently, nobody knows what'll happen if he abdicates. So, because she's the only one willing to go over Christmas, apparently, she gets sent over to Aldovia to cover a press conference regarding the coronation. She gets there, the press conference is immediately shut down because the prince hasn't shown up. Instead of leaving the castle with all the other journalists, Amber decides to snoop around. At that point, she is discovered by a guard who asks her if she is the new tutor for the young princess. Instead of saying, "No, sorry, I just got lost," Amber instead goes, "Absolutely, yes, that's me, I arrived early," and is escorted into the castle with nobody checking her ID or qualifications.
Yeah, tracks. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
That's how Meghan Markle got into the relationship with Prince Harry.
Just adorable hijinks.
Yeah.
I'd love that, to be honest.
It would make everything just so much better than it already is, because it's already perfect.
A Christmas Prince, the Meghan Markle story.
Aww.
Once Amber settles into her job, tutoring Princess Emily, played by Honor Kniefsey, she realizes that the prince isn't as bad as everybody says. He's just grieving after the loss of his father, the king, along with his wonderful queen mother, Helena, played by Alice Krige. The Princess Emily, who started out as kind of like a bratty character, actually shows the most development. She was born with spina bifida, and she feels people constantly feel sorry for her all the time, making her really angry. And Amber actually has a really sweet relationship with her, where she doesn't see her as anyone broken or disabled, and just treats her like a normal kid. Now, we learn that naturally Prince Richard has a shitty cousin, I think, named Simon, played by Theo Devaney, who wants the throne instead, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get it. Prince Richard also has an ex-girlfriend, Lady Sophia, played by Emma Louise Saunders, who wants to get back together with the prince so that she can stay in the spotlight and also eventually be queen. But he ignores all of them and instead starts falling in love with who he thinks is his sister's tutor. After a bunch of hijinks, Amber uncovers documents that show that the prince is in fact adopted. She doesn't show any of these documents, but they are discovered by Simon and Lady Sophia when they go snooping around her room. At the coronation, these documents are revealed, and her burgeoning romance with the prince is cut short as he finds out that she's actually a journalist and not a tutor. Disgraced, she is about to board the plane to New York when she realizes that she has uncovered a clue that helps find documents that prove that the prince is actually able to now be the legal heir to the throne thanks to a random legal change the king made without consulting anyone before he died.
Yep.
Long story short, Prince Richard gets crowned the king of Aldovia, and Amber, happy to have helped, goes home. She is now sad because she quit her job because they didn't want to publish her piece. They couldn't have, but anyway. They didn't want to publish her piece. She's spending New Year's Eve at her dad's diner when suddenly, who appears at the window? It's Prince Richard.
Oh, no.
He wants to marry her. And she's like, oh, but my life is in New York. And he's like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And she says yes, and the movie ends.
Merry Christmas,
Christmas, everyone.
Best, and the best thing about the whole film is that they kiss at New Year's sort of strike of midnight. Yeah. So you know it's going to last forever.
That is true. I mean, they haven't been on a real date or anything yet, but it'll last.
Yeah, I mean, the whole relationship is based on lies. Yes. So, as we know, that's how the best relationships are forged.
Fun fact, I actually thought Rudy was a prince the first couple months that we were dating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what, did it turn out that he was just a tutor?
Or whatever job he was doing at that point. Yeah, he was just a student. But, by then I already loved him.
I mean...
He got
there's
me.
not much you can do at that stage. With rotten foundations, it's good to build a house. Did you have a snowball fight in the middle of
Which eventually resulted in him falling on top of me, so our faces are uncomfortably close.
That's, how you're in love with someone. When
they body slam you to the ground.
That's how I've gotten all of my dates. I just go around body slamming women.
Oh, no. And you're like, oh, haha, I fell. And they're like, you clearly jumped. So, what were your thoughts on this movie?
So, I really actually enjoyed this film. It was cute and lovely. My only problem with it, and I think this is something that we'll also have to discuss when we eventually decide to do Lucy, with having a film that involves your occupation, it really sort of, when they get it wrong, it's just very, very upsetting. Now, legally
Chad's about
speaking,
to go into the law.
Yeah, so if you aren't interested in the law and how acts of parliament are usually passed, skip the next hour of this podcast, because we're going deep. So, basically, really, really simply, you can't pass a law of the land and keep it hidden from everyone. That's not how the law works. Sort of one of the basic principles behind law is that it is available for everyone to look at, so that they know what they can sort of be affected by and what they can be held liable for. And so to hide a statute of any kind, even a kingly declaration, it's gonna be pretty impossible. Also, signatures can be forged. So a simple check by the Prime Minister going, hey, that's the King's signature, would not be sufficient in order to pass a secret law that no one knew about. Because that makes sense. So that was my main problem with the film, was just legally speaking, none of that whole thing made any sense, really.
On top of the fact that because she didn't reveal her identity as a journalist, none of the stuff that she learned in the castle is anything she's allowed to publish, because it would all technically be off the record.
Off the record. Right.
So,
okay.
that's why I said, her magazine physically probably couldn't, publish it because she got it, lying, which is not how you're supposed to journalist.
Yeah. I think that should have been her reasoning, the boss lady at the end when she was like, we can't publish this.
But no,
not this, it's too sincere.
You were a psychopath.
Yeah, and then just be like, you're actually fired because we can't trust you as a journalist.
Yeah. Also, I fact-checked this with my friend Jade, who's a writer, and she works with a lot of magazines. A junior editor, the way that they have it, isn't, a job. So they make it sound like editors are, the lowest on the hierarchy of writing, but they're not, because obviously they're the ones who actually have, the experience and, knowledge enough of the brand to be able to edit the articles to match, whatever the magazine's image is. And even if, you're not, the editor-in-chief or whatever, you're still pretty revered and people listen to you. They don't just walk all over you.
The walking all over it made really no sense. The fact that dude was she's like, first of all, it's 600 words and it was supposed to be 300. Also, there's just a shit ton of mistakes. If he's a writer for the site and more senior writer, he should be better than that and not just oh, you just deal with it, it's fine. No, that's not her fucking job. It is your job, and since you are so senior and you enjoy writing and things, why fucking be like that?
It's a discredit to all of journalism.
Exactly.
But Jade actually put it really nicely. She was like, this sounds like a job to make her sound cute, ambitious, but charmingly feminine. Which, yeah.
I mean, this movie did play on a lot of those tropes, to be fair.
Yes.
Getting in with the sister first, who is, doesn't like anyone, but magically she likes you. And then her seeing, he's just different.
Yeah. She wears Converse around the palace.
Yeah, that was really amazing, and I think that's something that you want to get into, and I think we should just jump straight into it, the makeover scene.
I say this, I think that there is a time and a place for a nice smoky eye. I get it. I've done a smoky eye. Not very well, but I do it. Whoever did her makeup for that ball scene should be shot. I'll say it. Doesn't go with the dress. It's not a very good smoky eye. She is a beautiful actress, and they make her look like a raccoon. And it's just one of the worst. Did the child do her makeup?
I mean, it was Fabio, and then Alexa and Google Home. I can't remember their names. But, they apparently, according to the younger sister, do everything. But also, they did nothing. They gave her smoky eye. They gave her a dress, which,
not a good smoky eye.
No, and then she wore Converse. They weren't just like, okay, well, that's clearly not going to go with the dress. You can not wear Converse. They were just like, yeah, do that, that's fine. And then also, they only put smoky eye on. There was no, distinguishing lipstick. No. There was no blush. There was no sort of shadows or anything. It just made no sense.
It was awful. On top of, the shoe thing really bugs me. I understand, you want to show that you're an individual and, you're American and you're not like other girls, so you need to, keep your own specific style. And I love red Converse. I think they're beautiful. But if you're working in a palace, and surely if you get sent on assignment as a journalist, so you know that you're going to have to attend some sort of semi-formal thing, you just pack a pair of heels. They don't even have to be, really nice heels. You can just buy, some court shoes, or, something with a bit of a wedge to show that you give a shit.
Yeah, 100%. And I really... it was horrid. Just how lax everything at the palace was.
Oh yeah.
Just the only sort of example of security guards was at the end when she came back to the palace and they wouldn't let her go up the stairs.
Now you're not letting her in?
Yeah, but that's the thing. She was already in the palace. She just couldn't go upstairs. That was where she was barred from.
Yeah, I don't know what they're like in Aldovia, but the shit does not fly.
No, it's shenanigan central is
Yeah.
Aldovia. Like, no wonder the king sort of just disappeared. He was probably assassinated because he doesn't have any security around him.
Can you? Okay, but like stepping back, can you imagine like, you're suddenly like a really famous lawyer slash actor slash podcaster, right? And the Queen of England is like, oh, I'd quite like to meet this guy. Can you imagine meeting her wearing like your Converse that you wore on the plane?
You wouldn't be allowed to.
I'd be
I'm sure you wouldn't be allowed
devastated.
to. I mean, you just look like an embarrassment.
Yeah. And it's not, like, here's the thing.
Unacceptable.
I don't want to, like, malign people who dress casually. Like, I work from home. I'm constantly in leggings and sweatpants. Like, but it's about showing a certain level of respect for the person that you're meeting.
Yeah, and I mean, just on the basic premise of itself, like, just all of her clothes. And the fact that no one stopped her just in the beginning when she was wandering around the castle
Yeah.
as press. Just
Nobody checks her
wandering
ID.
around.
One ID check, or one thing like, oh, hey, we need to scan your passport for, like, tax reasons or whatever, like, to register you as an employee of the state, because that's what she would have been. They're just like, oh, well, if she says that's who she is, I mean, let's just give her private access to a princess.
Yeah, for reals. And also, no one checks up on their lessons or anything. It is very clear that she's not teaching anything. Like, there's no distinguishing. They're outside all the time. They're playing, like snowball fights and bobsleds and whatever. Like, what? No, you can't just do that with someone like...
Look, this script was not, like... It was pretty lazy writing.
Yeah.
They wanted to just write a standard romance Christmas movie. That's what they did. They were like, don't think about it too much. Like, be a little drunk on some eggnog or some glühwein before you watch it. And that was the contract we all signed.
Exactly. And, I mean, look, it is fun. Speaking about what's good about it, it is really fun. And the relationship between the princess and the tutor non-tutor is really good.
It's cute.
Like, it's super cute. It's really nice.
I think that young actress was probably the best performance in the movie.
Oh, yeah. Do you know who she reminded me of? Lucy from Lion, Wish and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And she was just lovely, and, she was the mastermind behind everything, which I thought was very, very cool. I hated, and I think obviously you're supposed to hate them, but I really hated the cousin and the sort of woman...
You mean the flattest characters in the world.
I mean, it's very obvious that you have to hate them, but he was just like a typical, like, he just looked like the British guy who, would tell you off in class and, like, report you to the teachers.
I immediately think of that guy in 30 Rock who Liz Lemon, like, keeps running into, Wesley Snipes.
Oh, Wesley Snipes. Is it Michael Sheen?
Yeah, it's Michael Sheen.
Yes.
It's exactly it.
My dirigible. Just call it a bicycle.
He makes me laugh every time.
He is so good. And I mean, it's not giving British people a good name. Also, as a king, how do we feel about the real prince, the Christmas prince?
Well, it's cool that, like, after his dad died, he got to fuck off and, like, travel the world to mend his broken heart. Like, good for you, my guy. But, like, to me that also shows, like, a profound amount of, like, irresponsibility. Like, you knew you'd have to ascend to the throne at some point, and, like, to leave your whole kingdom, like, reeling so that you can go, like, mend your own broken heart. And, like, I think his mom says it at some point, too. I loved the queen, by the way. I thought she was amazing.
Oh, she's amazing.
Where she's just like, well, I just, like, lost my fucking husband, and then you left. And frankly, that's my scene that could have saved it, is I don't think she's angry enough about it, but I'll get into it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I think that is one of the best scenes of the film. That she's just like really pissed off at him, and like she's like, you just left me to pick up the pieces, and that was really, really cool. Also, on that fact, like, he just left, right, and everyone's like, oh, he's a philanthropist, and he's just like seeing all these girls and whatever, and like the movie wants us to believe that he wasn't, that he was off, saving children or whatever.
Am I supposed to believe that when he was drunk on a beach in Thailand, He didn't make out with a drunk Australian tourist.
Yeah, like, he was actually saving the dolphins or the turtles or something.
You can do that
you know.
and also be a huge slut.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to slut shame anyone. Save whoever you want, sleep with whoever you want, but, like, you can do both. And you're still a good person. I feel like that would have been a more interesting story, though, if he was like, yeah, like, I was heartbroken, and I, like, slept my way through Europe. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm ready now. I'm, like, ready to rule. I've gotten it out of my system. Like, I'd prefer that over, like, oh, you know, they just blow everything out of proportion. That accent was not great.
I thought it was absolutely perfect.
It got a little bit
nothing
South
wrong
African.
with it.
On the E's. But, like, it's just, like, and it's like, oh, obviously he's perfect. He, like, likes archery and having snowball fights with orphans. Like, ugh, boring.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look at Simba. Okay, he was a prince. He went away for a while, and then he came back, and everything was reasonably fine. You know?
Was that what happened? He came back, and the kingdom was like, oh, we're great. Do you just want to take the reins?
No, everything was fine with him. Like, no one was like, oh, we're really upset that you fucked off for, you know, ever, and kind of left the country to ruin. I mean, yes, they were lions, so there is a slight difference. But to be fair, in the grander scheme of things, there is not much difference between Pride Rock and Aldovia in terms of shenanigans and hijinks.
Very true, and well said.
There's lots of misrepresentation. There's confusing plots. So yeah. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Pride Rock is Aldovia. A 3-part series.
3-part series. Oh, could you imagine? So yeah, what did you like about it?
The scenery was super beautiful. I believe it was filmed in Romania. No, like, you know, that's part of it. Like, the scenery was gorgeous. I think that there was pretty... So, the main character is objectively awful, but I think that the actress did such a good job of acting it that, like, you don't realize. Like, she seems like a genuinely nice person, and the chemistry between her and the prince is pretty good. You know, it's not steamy, but I guess he's a pretty boring dude, so it wouldn't be, would it?
I think, you know, sort of, it's a situation, and very much going back to what you said about Michael Sheen in 30 Rock, she settles for him because out of all of the prospects, there are not good men in that film. Like, the only other gentleman, the only other viable candidate for sort of marriage in that film is the creepy prince, the creepy nephew.
Or that very handsome guard that stopped her and asked who she was and neatly supplied an alibi for her.
Yeah, that was the best, but do you not question that? But we're not going to get into that because we've already passed it. We're done.
But also, like, she didn't have to date anyone in Aldovia,
no.
Chad. She had the whole of New York. Which, if sitcoms has taught me anything, is full of interesting characters.
New York seems like a very mixed place. Like, some people really love it, and then other people are like, this is the worst place on the planet, and no one should ever live here. I think,
as with the planet, you like it if you succeed in it. And then you don't like it if you're one of the people who unfortunately has to get trod on for other people to succeed.
Yeah, also, talking about that, relating it back to the film, when she quits at the end, she's fucking insane. Okay, so she's an editor, right? So apparently, according to this movie, editors are a really shitty job, which we can assume she's not being paid well for, in New York City, one of the most expensive places to live on the planet. So, we get that side of things. Then, out of nowhere, she gets the opportunity to go on this assignment. She fucks it up because she's a criminal deviant, without question. Mm-hmm. But then she comes back, her editor says the story was too nice and too honest, so we can't run it. And she quits, without second thought, in New York. A place where it is the most competitive, and she wants to focus on her own writing and start a blog. A blog.
Isn't that the most white girl thing you've ever heard, though?
It really is.
Like, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna start a blog, and I'm just gonna, like, travel.
Financially, it makes no sense. It's not like we even know what her dad does. Like, her dad owns a restaurant. Again, in New York, the most competitive place in the planet.
It does look like she took up a waitering job there in the meantime. In, like, the 3 seconds since she quit her job.
Look, it's Christmas. There's Christmas temp work. There's always Christmas temp work.
Also, can we talk about the prince fucking proposing to her? Like, he found out she was a journalist, she, like, fixed everything, and then she left. So he technically hasn't had an honest date with her once yet. He doesn't know anything about her family, he doesn't know anything about, like, her, but he's like, let's get married and we'll figure it all out, which is a great strategy.
It really is, especially when her dad hasn't said that he's willing to go to Aldonia.
Even Harry and Meghan, like, dated for a bit on the sly. They went on cool vacations to Botswana. You can do that. You do not have to get married straight away, ever.
Yeah, and I think anything post 2015 needs a little bit more thought than let's just get married. We've entered a stage where we can think about things, and, you know, even Christmas films are not off limit to a higher standard of filming.
So, what is your scene that could have saved it?
I would have liked to have seen a ending where they mentioned when the snooty nephew is about to get crowned that if he doesn't get crowned on Christmas Day, like, for some reason, the time in which it takes to hire a new leader, because that's how the monarchy works, runs out. And then no one, apparently, runs the kingdom. So I would have liked to see... Yeah, it's a really good way to have a monarchy. It's really, really clever. So I would have really liked to have seen a filibuster scene where they just waste the time.
And then, like, the prince visits her in New York, but he's like, yes, I'm currently going through a very long, drawn-out legal process.
Yes.
Apparently you can't just make up laws and not tell anybody.
Yes, I would have loved it if the queen had arrived for the fucking ceremony, and then she's just like, right, so I'm going to now explain to you the original trilogy of Star Wars. We open up with A New Hope, and she just starts filibustering until Boxing Day. And then the whole thing shuts down, and then basically the whole of the monarchy has to be suspended, and they go over the legal rights and rituals, and it gives them a little bit more time to amend the law so it makes sense that adoption can be a thing.
Yeah.
So a great filibustering scene, instead of just making up some crazy bullshit about a fucking declaration being buried in an acorn. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm there with you.
There is not enough filibustering in films, so welcome to my TED Talk.
You can tell Chad's really been working hard with his law degree. It's all that's on his mind.
It consumes us. So what's your scene that you would have said saved it? I mean, you've mentioned it.
Yeah,
sort of,
so I just would have liked, first of all, I think the Queen was a really underutilized character. Because she was really cool and clearly, like, a really good leader. She could have been a very flat character, but I think the actress gave it, like, a bit of life. When they come back, because they were caught, like, sledding, and she's like, well, bring me with next time. I think it would have been cool to see more of that side of her, where she wants to spend more time with, like, her daughter, because she talks about how the daughter was a miracle, but we don't really see them spend time together. So it would have been cool to see some sort of scene like that, where it's just her and, like, her kids, and they're having, like, this, like, sweet little moment, and she's, like, talking to her son, and she's like, you left me and your sister, like, to go off and, like, bang your way around Europe or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just not fucking cool. Like, I'm not even mad about all the legal stuff. Like, it's just, like, what the fuck? So that would have been cool. It would have been cool maybe if, like, just the three of them together had their own little Christmas traditions. Like, they all exchanged, like, their own handmade gifts between one another and stuff. Like, I think that would have been nice. It would have fleshed out the prince character, like, a little bit more. And, like, just generally, you know what? If you're gonna be a heartwarming film, just lean into it. And try to make me cry.
Yeah. No, I agree, because that's what Christmas is all about.
Weeping.
It's sort of weeping openly over heartfelt moments.
I saw, it's a webcomic on Instagram called Marcella Draws, and she was like, and one said, it's about that time of year to weep over your sink while listening to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Oh, no.
And I felt that in my soul, because that song always makes me cry if I'm, like, alone around Christmas time.
Yeah, that's horrible, but accurate. Oh.
So that's what I wanted, like, that's what I want playing in the background, like, while they're having this cute little scene in my head.
Exactly. Especially as well because this is their first Christmas without their dad.
Yeah.
Like, but it's not mentioned, like, at all. And that is a really, really hard time. So, tell me, who's the director and why?
So, Okay, this is directed by a guy named Alex Zam.
With a Z.
You will have seen with a Z, Z-A-M-N.
Okay.
Yeah, you will have seen his work in, oh boy, it's a lot of these kinds of movies, right? It's The Tooth Fairy 2, it's Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2, Dr. Dolittle, $1 Million Mutts, it's Inspector Gadget. It's all these kinds of, like, movies that are really simple, and basically for children.
Okay, fair.
So I don't think, like, that makes him a bad director. He's making the movies what they need to be for that audience.
Right.
Right. He's not the script writer, he's just there to make the scenes heartwarming and fun. And I think he did a good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with this film. It's more of a case of it's just
Lazy.
sort of really lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the acting's not terrible in it. Really.
Look, it's nothing exciting, but visually it was pretty good, except for the makeup.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well done, because that is not easy. This film it's everywhere. There's hijinks. I think that's the best description of it from yourself, is that it is just hijinks that make no sense.
And also, like, you can pretty much guess what's going to happen in this movie after the first, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, exactly. It really does play so heavily on the tropes.
Yep. So, Chad, let's do it. Just take me through Santa Claus.
So, we open with Julia, played by Nicola Lambo, who is just sleeping when two of her cats notice that Santa Claus, who is played by John P. Fowler in this film, coming down the chimney. Now, in this film, and in this reality, cats can talk. Not to humans, just to each other. They speak English. And so they are commenting and having a play-by-play as Santa comes down the chimney and gives gifts. He goes to get some cookies or something, and the younger cat of the two goes over and starts to love up Santa Claus. And very much like any cat that ever has existed, if it somehow senses that you are allergic to them, they will focus in on you. They will hone down. So in this universe, Santa is allergic to cats. So the younger cat comes and rubs itself against him, and Santa starts sneezing to the point where Julia actually wakes up, comes downstairs, and sees the real-life Santa. Santa sort of panics and runs away when her next-door neighbour, Marcus Bramble, played by Evan Boy-May, sees Santa and tries to take a photograph, but fails to do so. 30 years later, those two cats from the beginning are dead, obviously, which was my immediate thought when I watched this film. Julia is now a high-powered businesswoman who is somehow also making all of her money from running a blog. And she has her kid, Tommy. Now, through the hard 30 years that she's had, Julia no longer believes in Santa and has told Tommy that Santa Claus is made up and that Christmas is just a money-making scheme created by the media. So Tommy is now not allowed to have any Christmas decorations. He doesn't get Christmas presents. He's not even allowed to celebrate Christmas. The whole message that Julia has is if you want something, you got to buy it yourself from doing work. It's really mean.
We'll get into that, though.
So, Tommy is really upset about this, and there's really that's just basically it in terms of that. He's just really, really sad. Now, Tommy has a cat. I mean, how would you not? Tommy has a cat called Maisie, and Maisie has three beautiful kittens, Patches, Mittens, and Hairball. So Maisie is played by Marguerite Goya Insolia, Patches is Jordan Bielski, Mittens is Lauren Elizabeth Hood, and Hairball is Quinn Luyoka. Your face right now is so wonderful. For our listeners, it's just the face of someone who has had to watch the worst film of all time and is now having to relive it. It's PTSD.
Imagine going to acting school, right? And your big job, your big break is fucking voicing over poorly animated talking cats. I feel so bad.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for these guys. So, right, so she has these kittens, does Maisie, and Julia, because of how mean she apparently is, wants to now get rid of the kittens because they're causing shit and she can't afford to keep them around. So, come the day after fucking Christmas, they're gonna get rid of the cats. Tommy has bought himself a Christmas tree, and so he puts it up in his room. Julia comes into the room and sees the Christmas tree and essentially says, even though you've played by the rules and bought this with the money that you earn, I'm taking it away because it's to do with Christmas. So she takes the Christmas tree away, but instead of throwing it away, she just puts it in the garage. Now, that night, while everyone's sleeping, Santa comes down the chimney and he's like, oh, I haven't been to this house in ages. I don't know why it's on here. That's fine though. Oh no, there's cats. So he takes the kittens away because Tommy wants to give them to a good home, and that's why Santa actually goes to the house, is to collect the cats, because apparently Santa is a delivery service in itself and can do returns. But anyway, besides the point, he takes the box of kittens, goes up to the roof, opens the box, and finds out that they are in fact cats. So he starts sneezing like a crazy person. Cats keep coming towards him, and he falls off the roof and goes unconscious. Now, the talking kittens now are in control of Santa's sleigh, and they have to get their shit together in order to deliver all the presents by the next morning. Santa is unconscious, Tommy has woken up, and he sees real Santa and gets him inside. Basically, the cats just end up on shenanigans trying to deliver the presents, but that's really non-eventful. So Tommy wakes up Santa somehow by magic and whatever. Julia finds out about this. They have a big row sort of thing about what happened when she was a kid, and now she doesn't believe in everything like that, and because she was bullied, and because Marcus Bramble was also bullied, and it was just, I mean, it's
don't
the
explain
usual
it
reasons.
too much. Don't go into it too much. The scripture didn't.
That's true. So eventually, the cats deliver all the presents, except for one. They don't deliver to Julia's next door neighbor, Marcus Bramble. He is the last one on the list, but because it's now December 26th, Santa has no power. He can't deliver the present. It's for reasons, and so Marcus isn't looking like he's going to get a gift, and he can't give anything to himself. But then, out of nowhere, Santa is able to give him a gift, gives him the gift. Christmas is saved, and everything is perfect. He is able to look. Marcus takes on the kittens so that they're not too far away from Julia and Tommy. Julia believes in Christmas again, and Tommy can finally have Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
I think that the best argument against having kids is knowing that you'll have to watch shit like this.
Yeah.
We're gonna trash this movie pretty hard, but I understand that we are not the intended age group for it.
That is true.
But it's still inexcusable how little effort was put into this.
I agree. There are so many things about this film that are just weird in themselves. None the least being the fact that the cats are really incidental. The fact that the film is called Santa Claus, which, I mean, I love a good pun. I love a good play on words. There's nothing better in my opinion.
Especially Christmas puns. I
mean, it's the best. So it was upsetting that this film really, you didn't even need the cats.
No.
The kittens weren't funny. Sometimes they weren't even dubbed. Like, the voice actors would just speak, but the cats would just be doing their own thing.
I mean, I preferred that to the shoddy CGI they put into making the cats talk.
I think my main sort of upset with this film is how mean Julia is to her own kid.
Yes! Okay, look, we're all aware that Christmas is like a made-up holiday that just get people support massive consumerism and all that. We get it. We know. But it's still fun. I know that amusement parks are just to make me spend too much money on food that I don't want to eat. I still go. It's still fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm Jewish and I'm a bad Jew, but I'm still Jewish, and I freaking love Christmas.
Ugh.
I will blast the Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
I will do the presents for my non-Jewish friends. It's just because it's a magical time of year. It's a shitty time of year in the northern hemisphere. It's fucking cold. It's fucking dark all the time, and so we need a little bit of happiness, and that's what Christmas is about. And what really upsets me about Julia is that she just changes the fucking rules like halfway
Yeah.
through. Like he bought the Christmas tree with his own money. Like
Yeah.
then she shouldn't have any problem because that's what she says. She's like, you make
Yeah.
your own sort of
And he wasn't even trying to pull her into it. He was just like having his own having himself a merry little Christmas.
crying over a sink.
Yeah. And like she couldn't even have that. It was like, I get that the Christmas movie trope is the busy working gal who doesn't understand the true meaning of Christmas. Like, I get it, but they really just took it to weird and upsetting extremes.
Yeah, that made no sense. I mean, it's like Constantine did it better in a way if you think about it. Now this is a stretch. Bear with me.
Oh, I have seen Constantine.
Yeah, bear with me. Bear with me on this one. It is a stretch because they're not even the same genre. But Julia, very much like Constantine, has seen something she should only believe in. Like Constantine knows about devils and God and all that type of thing and demons. Very much like Julia knows that Santa exists. Okay, so in Constantine, there is that argument of why Constantine can't get into heaven is the fact that he knows but he doesn't believe. Where Julia is the same. She knows but she doesn't believe. And that, in the context of the film, makes no fucking sense why she wouldn't want to be about Christmas. It's not like Constantine going, oh, well, I know for a fact that God is real and everything, but I'm still, like, I refuse to go to church or fight demons.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense that she would just be like, okay, well, I know Santa exists, so I'm just gonna disavow all of Christmas.
I just, like, I get it, like, you've got your own personal hang-ups, like, you were bullied and stuff about believing in Santa and whatever, but, like, you don't need to put that on your kid.
That's not fair on him.
Can we talk about the unnecessary creepiness of their neighbor?
Okay, I love the neighbor, so I'm gonna let you take the reins.
No, that is
on
a
this
man
one,
who
and
looks
then I'm
like
gonna
he
defend.
has a girl, like, tied up in his basement. Like, he gave me, I think I texted you, I was like, he gives me full-on BTK vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, he is the embodiment of the Zodiac Killer. Like, if you actually look at one of the Zodiac Killer sketches, he kind of fucking looks like the dude. So, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I think this movie tries to paint this dude as a villain when he is not. He is the most lovely guy, and he's just trying to be good. He hates cats, and he still wants to adopt the cats at the end. That's for one. He loves Christmas. All he wants to do is get Julia back into Christmas because he fucking knows that Santa exists, and he knows that she knows. And even so, she's just like, nah, bruh. And he makes a macaroni.
Which I understand is like a common side dish in America, but
which
like
is so dumb.
here,
What is
like,
that?
and I guess in the UK, obviously we're a colony, so like we've adopted a lot of British culture in South Africa, but like here and in the UK and probably in any of the colonies, if you brought me mac and cheese for Christmas, I would be so confused. Mac and cheese just, yeah, I understand. Again, in the context of America, it makes sense. But to the rest of the world, it's fucking baffling.
It is a really weird thing to come over with, just out of nowhere, on a good day, whether it is for Christmas or not.
I mean, I love mac and cheese.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because I mean, if I had just brought you mac and cheese out of nowhere, you would be the happiest person.
I'd be stoked.
I mean,
I love it.
you would be confused because I would just come out of nowhere with mac and cheese, but you would still eat it with great fervor.
But like as a specifically Christmassy thing?
Yeah, like it is weird. It is really weird. And the kid is kind of a dick to him as well. Tommy is really dicky to him for no reason.
That was one of the few parts of the movie I liked, though, where he's like, I shouldn't have to tell a grown-up that Santa doesn't exist. Just like the sassiest little, like, jaded kid.
I like Tommy. I think he's a good actor.
He was good, yeah. He did well.
He was cute. Yeah. I think Julia's blog as well made me really happy. Like,
the single mom and the budget.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, that's really nice, and I think it's a good sort of segue, unless there's other things that you want to talk about. But I think it's a good segue into my scene that would have saved it, in the fact that I would have loved to see a bit of more of a reason why Julia hates everything. Because it is very clear that she hates not just Santa, but literally everything. She hates cats, she hates looking after a kid.
She doesn't hate the cats. I mean, look, I mean, I think anytime your cat has kittens, you kind of accept that you're not going to keep them all. Like, that's just what happens.
Yeah, but she's really dick to Tommy about it. He's just like, we've spoken about this. We're not keeping the cats. Like, just be compassionate. You kind of aren't very nice to your kid, and
It's
then
kind
like,
of weird because I relate, like, I get her on a certain level. Like, she comes home, she's like, okay, we're gonna split the chores because you're, like, trying to teach your kid
yeah,
responsibility.
that's cool.
And you're just, like, trying to get stuff done. And then now, like, the kittens have fucked everything up. And she's like, okay, like, let's just work this out. And, like, she's really cute with her cat, Macy. And she probably likes the kittens, too. It's just that I think the scenes that they show aren't very flattering to her. I guess probably what my scene would have saved it, could have saved it, would have been, is partially just, like, making her a more sympathetic character, because I'm really fucking sick of the stereotype where it's like, oh, she's like a single hardworking mom who enjoys her career, so she's also like a bitch and hates fun.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to see. Like, that's what I wanted to change it about her. Obviously, she's jaded and everything, and life hasn't been really nice to her. I mean, that's why she's a single mom, because obviously the dad is just the worst, or for some reason. Because I mean, I think if the implication is that he left, because if he had died, then there would have been some exposition about it. There would have been some exposition about it. But clearly, by implication, he left. So I want to see sort of a scene where it's just Julia, and she has to deal with all of this shit at Christmas. Like, maybe she did enjoy Christmas, and maybe she was like, once she found out Santa was real, she was like super chuffed about it. And then, like, the husband left on Christmas or something, and that's why she hates Christmas a lot, and the bullying and all of that type of thing. Like, I want to see more of her story, because like you said, it was unfair to her, and she is so mean to everyone, so I want to see a reason why she's so mean to everyone and everything. Like, you know, she's got a really cool job. She runs a blog about budgeting on a single mum's thing. That's a fucking cool job. She should be stoked.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I guess, like, there maybe wasn't time in the movie, and obviously she wasn't the main character, because, like, probably if somebody recorded me on one of my bad days, or like days where like shit is just not going well, I would probably not come off as the nicest person.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think anyone would. Well, very few people would come off as being like really nice people.
No, agreed. Okay, that's the point of bad days, is because they're bad. But instead, we got a movie where all of that stuff that Julia could have done to make her a more human character was filled with a badly animated cat.
And those kittens were really fucking cute. Like,
they were.
I mean, I just love watching kittens, so I was like, maybe this will be like the redeeming factor of the movie, but
it weren't.
No.
It were not.
People kept giving them voices, and
yeah, and they really had nothing to do with the film.
No.
Like, make them more of a hero.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you're gonna call it Santa Claus, make the cats sort of a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Like, it was all just really sort of a non-event.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to Glenn Miller?
Tell me about our director.
Glenn Miller. You will have seen nothing that he has done. And I'm excited to list these off to you. And please, do tell me if you...
Okay, I'll stop you.
Yeah, if you've seen any of these. So, Jacko's Wild Ride, The Bell Witch Haunting, The Coed and the Zombie Stoner, Two Guys and a Gal, Zoombies, Escape from the Zoombies, Deadly Sins, Five Gurus and a Big Stack of Cash. Any of those in your repertoire of things you've seen?
Fortunately, no.
Yeah. So, I'm just gonna say that there is a time and a place for these type of movies. And while Mr. Glenn Miller, is not a good director, he is a good this type of film director. Because these movies are bad films, it makes him a bad director, but he is good at directing bad films.
So it's not his directing that's bad, it's just the projects that he gets.
Exactly. And so I would say, very much like Nicolas Cage, he's good at being bad, and that's why people find him lovely. So Glenn Miller and Nicolas Cage are in the same boat for their good badness.
I don't know if I'd ever want to be in the same boat as Nicolas Cage.
I would never want to be...
Figuratively or...
And literally.
Literally, yeah.
Yes, I would never want to be on any vessel with Nicolas Cage.
No.
That sounds terrifying. Any enclosed space with him sounds terrifying.
Do you know, in that, so on Facebook, I posted a video link to like I think it's an interview with Wired or GQ or something where he breaks down his most iconic roles, and he mentions Vampire's Kiss, and he says it's his favorite film that he's ever worked on.
I don't even know what to say to that. That's outrageous. What the fuck?
Because like I think his whole thing was like, you know, he just got to like let loose and do like really crazy shit on screen, and I'm like, but like
that's a really juvenile approach to things if that's what you enjoyed about it. Oh, I just enjoyed being a dick and dicking around. Like, that's not
literally
good as an actor.
Look, Nick Cage is his own entity. Whatever
That's
he's
true.
doing is clearly working for him
For
some
him.
reason.
No one else could do what Nicolas Cage does. It's
That's
amazing.
true.
He should be alone in his own boat. He'd be in a fucking mental asylum. So, that is fucking Santa Claus.
Great.
It's been real, you guys.
Okay.
Oh, violent night, the sky is full of chickens.
Sure, why not? Okay, next segment.
Best segue in 19 episodes. Best segue ever.
Just Simone.
Okay,
trying not
next
to
segment.
cry.
Beautiful. So, trailers. What are you thinking? What's gonna podcast?
So I'm just gonna talk about this not because I think it's gonna podcast. I'm just really excited.
You just want to talk about it?
Because the Avengers Endgame trailer came out as of recording this like yesterday, and I am thrilled. I got goosebumps watching the trailer. I teared up. I felt so many emotions.
I was unbelievably happy with that trailer because I was discussing it with someone the day before it came out, and we were just saying there is quite literally they can't do anything with the trailer. They can't give anything away because it will just ruin the whole film if they do.
Yeah.
And so the trailer has to be incredibly limited, and they pulled some magic out of it, and it is perfect and wonderful.
So
it doesn't give a thing away. It just shows you beautiful scenes. You're sort of like, I mean, everyone was going to go see it regardless. Like, there is no way you couldn't see this film. They could have literally just announced the name of the film, no trailers or anything until April, and it still would have made a gajillion dollars. This film is going to be the first film to make
I'm going to pay all my money to go watch it.
Yeah. And quite a few times. I'm gonna go see it in the cinema a few times. So okay, so you've just chosen a film that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'm just excited about it. It's my podcast. I can do what I want.
You're not wrong.
We make up these rules.
You've got chutzpah, kid.
Thanks.
Keep going. You got the moxie.
Thanks.
Oh, okay. Well, I did do a trailer that is gonna be terrible, I think. And that film, and I'm really hoping it's not, but I think it is going to be, is Happy Death Day to You.
I've seen some of the previews. I haven't watched like the whole trailer. Please explain it to me.
Right, so you've seen number one, Happy Death Day, yes?
No, I have not.
Oh, wow. Go and watch that. That is a superb horror film.
Is it?
It's a horror comedy.
Oh,
it's really good.
There it is.
So, for those of you who haven't watched it, including Simone, it's essentially Groundhog Day, but she, the main actress, is killed every day.
Oh, I've heard, yes, I recall hearing about this.
Yeah, so when she dies, when she gets killed, she then wakes up on the morning of the day that she's killed, and she has to figure out her killer. Now, every time she gets murdered, she gets sicker or weaker or whatever, because the effects of the murder continue to happen on her body, but she just, she lives. So Happy Death Day to You is a sequel of the situation where it turns out, as far as I can see from the trailer, without reading any of the plot or anything, it seems like she wasn't the only one murdered that night. So if she is killed again at some later stage, she Groundhog Days again and goes back to when she was murdered. Now, it turns out that in this film, she has to go back and save everyone from dying, not just herself.
Interesting.
And it turns out that her murderer doesn't actually seem to have been the murderer in the first place, which kind of makes no sense.
Which negates the first movie.
Which completely negates the first movie, and that's why I think it's going to podcast, because the problem with time travel films, as we've all learned, is that they are never able to fully explain the paradoxes. And that's the point. Doctor Who somehow does it, and for the longest time with Doctor Who, it was fine. We were all good with going back in time. Doctor Who is the only show that I have known that have been able to do time stuff and have it okay. Look at X-Men and the Days of Future Past. Even with the stupidest name on the planet, it is still a really fucking horrendous film because they'd used time travel. And Groundhog Day was really good because technically it wasn't time travel. But now, with this film, it makes very little sense. And it's starting to get a bit ridiculous. I mean, I'm gonna go see it because I really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah.
But, goodness me, terrible. But yes, I am really, really excited for Avengers. It looks so good. The fact that Ant-Man, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, spoilers, sorry, but the fact that Ant-Man's in it, I'm so excited. The fact that they didn't mention Captain Marvel at all, I was just like, okay, she's obviously got a fucking huge part in this film.
Obviously.
So,
naturally.
Like, they can't even
Hawkeye's
just, like, explain
back,
it.
which I'm always excited about.
I can take it or
like
leave it.
Hawkeye.
I know you like Hawkeye.
He's the sexiest Avenger, I'll say it.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That is
I don't know,
big
I've just got,
claim
like,
to
Jeremy
make
Renner,
this late
I
in
don't
the
know,
podcast.
something about him just, like, you know, clicks in my brain, and I'm like, yes. I like rugged dudes.
I mean, okay, the rest of the Avengers are pretty clean, so I'll give you that. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, shame you or anything. So, Simone, we've done it again. Somehow, some way. So, I think before I find out how you are, tell me, what are you doing next week?
I am going to do the Christmas Wedding Planner. It sounds like the tropiest of tropey Christmas movies, and I am ready to tackle it. Glass of wine in hand.
I mean, there is a movie called The Wedding Planner, so why do we need a...
It's obviously completely different, Chad. This takes place over Christmas.
Look, okay, I made you watch Santa Claus, so I can't... I'm not allowed to speak, I guess.
That was unforgivable.
So, because this episode comes out on Christmas, I too shall be doing a Christmas movie. And I'm going to be doing The Princess Switch.
I'm excited to see it, actually. I love Vanessa Hudgens. I'm excited to see her effective British accent. I think it's safe to say that I'm gonna be pretty hammered watching these two movies.
Look, it's Christmas time. You get your eggnogs, you get your brandy cake. You need to be inebriated.
I have a Christmas
for
cake
this.
that I've been feeding. My mom brought it down when she came to visit in October, and I've just been feeding it brandy. So it's basically gonna be like alcoholic sludge by the time it's served.
I was gonna say that's gonna be more
brandy than cake, yeah.
Alcohol than
That's
than
how
cake.
it should be. You should get tipsy off a slice.
You need to watch yourself and create like a sort of hazard zone when you light it.
Oh, we probably won't light it.
Good Lord, woman!
You do that with like steamed
I am worried
Christmas
for your
pudding,
safety.
but you don't do that with like Christmas cake.
I'm very worried about you and your health and safety over the next couple weeks.
Well, Christmas, as a vegetarian, Christmas isn't as much of a feast for me. And that's why I have to just enjoy all the boozy desserts.
Oh god, you at Christmas must be just a delight.
I love Christmas so much.
It's the best. It's the best time of year.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. So now that that's out of the way and the people know exactly what they're watching, or just skip
they
in
can
this
just
week.
hear about it from
just
us.
skip it. Don't do it to yourself. Yeah, exactly. How was your week? How's things?
Things are good. It's slowing down at work, and the weather this week was shit for some reason. Thanks, Cape Town, but it'll turn around.
It always does.
And now we've got a working pool on the property where we live. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, it got working the moment the weather turned bad, but
Obviously.
I'm excited. How are you?
I am good. I went down to Bournemouth to visit some friends and things, and it was nice to see everyone again. It was nice to say hi to everyone. If you are, I went down to sort of give my opinion on one of my friend's plays that she's directing, which made me feel very fancy. I wore a beret and a turtleneck because, that's what you got to do with these things. I asked all of them to find the actor within themselves.
You just Shia LaBeouf'd it, huh?
I really Shia LaBeouf'd it. And that was really, really nice. The week's been pretty relaxed in terms of things, just catching up on work and things, and watching spectacular films about cats doing absolutely nothing at all. I'm alright. I'm okay. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us for yet another episode. We're coming into the end of the year, and it's time to give thanks to those around you, and we want to give thanks to all of you guys. and just many Christmas and a snappy New Year's from myself and from Simone. And if you feel like it, if you want to share the Christmas spirit, tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell the flying Pegasus that you bartered off of the nearby hovel about this podcast. Tell them to like it, tell them to subscribe it, because it always helps us. And what better gift can you give us this Christmas than more listeners? Yes. So yeah, where can the fun people find you, Simone?
The what people?
Oh, I just said the people. What did it sound like? I said
like fog people or something. I was like...
Well, I mean, fog people are people too, Simone. And if you're going to be really close-minded, I don't think we should do this anymore.
Fog people are most welcome.
Hashtag fog people rights.
Fog lives matter.
Fog lives matter.
Okay, well, all of the peoples can find me on Instagram.
Fog or otherwise.
Can find me on Instagram at simone.le.rux. They can read my articles on Fortune and Flint. They can follow the podcast at It's Not That Bad 1 on Twitter and Facebook, and at It's Not That Bad Podcast on Instagram. And they can email us at itsnotthatbadpodcast@gmail.com.
Woo woo! And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at chadsby1993, so that's CHADSBY 1993. You can also find me on Forge and Flint, which is the parent website, and you can read all of our cool articles, awesome short stories, and fantastic poetry. Oh, and one final thing before we go. We got a bit of a corrections corner, and I completely had forgotten until this point, but last week or the week before I mentioned that there are 4 Lion King's films. That is not correct. I was mistaken. There are 3 Lion King's films, unless you count the Lion Guard, which I don't. So you've got Lion King 1, you've got Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and you've got Lion King 3, which is also known as Lion King 1.5, which is the Timon and Pumbaa story.
Oh.
So thank you for the person who pointed that out to me. I really appreciate it. And I refuse to represent the Lion Guard as part of the Lion King trilogy. So yeah, but again, thank you for listening, and as we say at the end of every episode,
we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Goodbye.
Bye.